Welcome to Xian Voice. Continuing from the previous episode, Xiao Yan's mind was focused on the 8 tiny lights suspended within the jade green glow. Some liquid or powder-like substances were vaguely revealed within the light clusters. After Xiao Yan's 9 days of merging all the pure medicinal strengths, these 8 clusters of pure medicinal liquid contained the medicinal might of nearly 20 medicinal ingredients gathered together. Xiao Yan let out a deep breath. He exchanged glances with Grandmaster Huan on the opposite side. The both of them immediately shut their eyes as majestic spiritual strength surged out and entered the medicinal cauldron. The solemn expression on Tang Zhen's face became more apparent as he sensed the actions of these two. The success or failure of this pill refinement would depend on Xiao Yan's and Grandmaster Huan's subsequent performance. Xiao Yan's spiritual strength charged into the jade green light circle in a turbulent manner. A thought passed through his mind, and 2 drops of colorful liquid immediately descended before beginning to slowly merge. A ripple was formed on the surface following the contact of these 2 droplets of medicinal liquid. This was a kind of resistance that was created before these 2 types of medicinal strength were merged. Xiao Yan needed to use it to find the equilibrium point between the 2. Only then would he be able to merge them perfectly together. This kind of merger required extreme precision of one's spiritual strength. If any mistake were to occur along the way, it would lead to the failure of the merger. Xiao Yan's spiritual strength transformed into a countless number of tiny lines that spread over every inch of the 2 droplets of medicinal liquid. Any slight changes within would be immediately noticed by Xiao Yan. The first step of the merger was extremely troublesome. However, it was fortunate that Xiao Yan was extremely experienced. Additionally, he had a great amount of spiritual strength. These 2 types of medicinal liquids were at a stalemate for around an hour while his spiritual strength maintained a stable pressure. Only after that period of time did the merger really begin. Although this was extremely slow, it was only a matter of time before completion. Time swiftly flew by during the quiet refinement. Around 3 hours or so later, 2 droplets of colorful liquid were finally merged together. They transformed into a brilliant colored, viscous liquid that was gently suspended within the jade green light circle. Xiao Yan sighed in relief when he saw that the merger had succeeded. A thought passed through his mind, and a black-colored powder-like substance flew down. It slowly fell into the brilliant-colored, viscous liquid. The merger of the medicinal ingredient's essence was an extremely time-consuming step. One must not feel the least bit of anxiety during this period of time. Otherwise, a slight error would result in the failure of the merger. Moreover, it would cause the precious medicinal ingredient to turn into waste. However, it was fortunate that everything was proceeding very smoothly on Xiao Yan's side, and he was exceptionally careful because the failure or success of this pill refinement would determine whether or not he would be able to obtain the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame. Following the flow of time, the 8 tiny lights within the jade green light circle were slowly merged under Xiao Yan's control. Tang Zhen focused his eyes on the medicinal cauldron on the stone stage. Every single action within it was swiftly captured in his mind. This Yan Xiao is indeed extraordinary. Not only is he able to maintain his merger speed, but he was able to merge then without the slightest error. Moreover, his spiritual strength is also exceptionally vast and mighty. It is many times stronger than Grandmaster Huan, who is also a Tier 7 alchemist. With Tang Zhen's ability, he was naturally able to tell that Xiao Yan's spiritual strength was much stronger than Grandmaster Huan's spiritual strength. Tang Zhen's eyes once again turned to Grandmaster Huan while this thought flashed through his heart. All he ended up seeing was his somewhat pale face. His heart immediately sank. It seemed that merging the medicinal strength within this 9-dragon lightning flame had exhausted him. Although Tang Zhen was worried, there was nothing that he could do at this moment. He could not substitute him midway through. Hence, all he could do was pray that Grandmaster Huan would be able to endure until the end. Due to some of the changes on the stone stage, the people present were all clearly aware that Tang Zhen had already completed his role. Now, it was up to Yan Xiao and Grandmaster Huan. If they were able to successfully merge their respective portions of medicinal strengths, the pill refinement this time around would likely succeed. However, if anything happened to either one of them, it was likely that this pill refinement would end in failure. I wonder if that Yan Xiao is able to endure until the end. These 9 days have likely exhausted a great amount of his spiritual strength. An alchemist grandmaster fondled his beard as he slowly wondered aloud. They have already lasted until this stage. It would really be too regretful if any mistake occurs. Another alchemist grandmaster opened his mouth and replied. Those around him nodded with the same thought. Yan Xiao does not show any signs of becoming weary. Instead, Huan Feng, his spiritual strength is clearly beginning to weaken. An old man, standing right at the front, suddenly sighed as he added his thoughts. The surrounding immediately became silent when everyone heard his words. There was some dullness on everyone's faces. By putting it in this manner, did that not mean that this Yan Xiao was even better than Grandmaster Huan? No one knew just what to say the instant this ridiculous thought flashed through their hearts, because this old man was the other external elder from the Pill Tower. His eyesight was far greater than all of theirs. Hence, none of them dared to open their mouths and question him. However, they still quietly muttered in their hearts. Clearly, they did not quite believe him. The old man was too lazy to bother with the mentality of these people. His eyes looked at the stone stage and a slight expression of worry was present in his eyes. Based on his senses, Huan Feng's spiritual strength was indeed weakening. Things would be quite bad if this went on. Hopefully he will be able to endure. Refining a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill is indeed a little too straining for Huan Feng. Time swiftly flowed by during this merger. The medicinal strength merger of Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan gradually reached the end. Under the countless number of eyes, the natural energy on the tall stage gradually became wild and violent. In the face of this violence, an unusually dense medicinal fragrance quietly spread out, causing the attention of anyone sniffing it to focus. Tang Zhen and everyone became more awake as they sensed the change on the tall stage. Was the merger by these two people about to be completed? Xiao Yan's expression was unchanging in the face of the many anxious eyes focusing on him. He did not dare to relax his mind even a little. After this long period of merger, this face contained a thread of a faint pale whiteness. However, this was nothing too serious. On the other hand, Grandmaster Huan's condition was much worse. His face had turned completely white. However, he still continued to tightly clench his teeth without giving up. Fuse. As the density of the medicinal fragrance on the tall stage increased, Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan opened their eyes at almost the same time. Their mouths emitted a cry as their hand seals quickly changed. After the change in their hand seals, the spiritual strength within the medicinal cauldron also changed. The pressure surged and completely merged all the medicinal liquid together. Kai, a green and a red glow suddenly surged within the medicinal cauldron the instant they merged. They were just like light pillars as they reached 100 meters in height. The two waves of medicinal fragrances had reached the limit of their density the moment the intense glow surged. At this moment, everyone present revealed a joyous expression. Has the merger succeeded? Tang Huo'er's tensed heart had finally relaxed while she stood on the edge of the square. An alluring smile also surfaced on her pretty face. Tang Zhen suddenly stood up on the stone stage at this moment. The joy on his face was difficult to hide. However, he was not a reckless person. He knew that the pill refinement was still not a complete success. He cupped his hands to Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan. He said, the medicinal ingredients have been completely merged together. Next will be the most important pill formation. Xiao Yan slightly tilted his head. He glanced at Grandmaster Huan. He was involuntarily startled when he saw the other party's expression. He inquired somewhat hesitatingly, Grandmaster Huan, can you still continue? Huan Feng braced his attention upon hearing Xiao Yan's words. He waved his hand and laughed, relax. Although he spoke in this manner, his expression was not too convincing. Nevertheless, since Grandmaster Huan had said this, Xiao Yan was naturally unable to say anything else. If he did not possess the glazed lotus heart flame to protect his body, it was likely that he would have ended up in a similar state as Huan Feng. Tang Zhen also sensed that Huan Feng's condition was not quite right. At this moment, however, he did not have time to think of anything else. All he could do was clench his teeth and say, please proceed. If the merged medicinal strength is left alone for too long, it will end up affecting the chances of successfully refining the pill. Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan nodded. They inhaled a deep breath of air and their hand seals changed. One could see the green-red glow within the medicinal cauldron suddenly soar. Immediately, it transformed into a two-rainbow glow that appeared in front of everyone's eyes. These two glows heavily collided in the middle of the medicinal cauldron. Bang! The two droplets of liquid, that had been formed from the medicinal strength of nearly 100 types of medicinal ingredients, emitted a deep sound the instant they collided. Immediately, a circular and unusually powerful energy ripple erupted from them. The ripple collided with the medicinal cauldron's walls, emitting a clear, bang-bang sound. Due to the spiritual strength being mixed with the medicinal liquid, Xiao Yan emitted a moan during this collision. His body also slightly shook. Grug. Xiao Yan was able to endure this energy shock, but Grandmaster Huan, who was currently at his limits, appeared just like the last straw that caused a camel to collapse. His face immediately turned pale white as a mouthful of fresh blood was wildly spat out. The entire place immediately turned silent as everyone looked at Grandmaster Huan, who suddenly spat out blood and collapsed. The smile that had just appeared on Tang Zhen's and Tang Huo's faces slowly stiffened. Everyone knew just what kind of consequences would occur if something were to happen to the alchemist at this moment. Is it still going to fail? Tang Zhen muttered to himself. His face appeared to have become much older in an instant. Outside the square, Tang Huo's face had also turned snow white. A sorrow vaguely materialized in her pretty eyes. Did this mean that fate had decreed the end of her life? Xiao Yan was stunned as he stared at Grandmaster Huan, who had collapsed. He swiftly recovered an instant later. His gaze suddenly turned to the medicinal cauldron. If this pill refinement ended up failing, he could forget about the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. Would all his effort really come to naught at this final moment? An unwillingness and a ruthless expression immediately surged into his eyes when he thought of this.